What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another video. This time we're taking a look at Starfield's DLC Shattered Space on the Steam Deck, and I am one of the few people that have actually been looking forward to playing through this DLC and checking it out. And I knew performance on the deck could be kind of spotty for this game. It always has been, but there's always been a lot of mods and different things out there to help. I wanted to take a look at Shattered Space performance here straight up without any mods and see what the performance is like here. Now, as far as settings, we're pretty much doing what I've done in the past here with 75% resolution scale. You can go 60 to 80, low settings, no motion blur, FSR 3, frame gens off, and we'll get this typical performance. Whether you go 60 to 80 on the res scale, you're like 19 to 22 FPS right here. We're at around 21. This is very familiar to what we would get in some of the other cities like Aquila that's really hard to run, right? And this DLC is all taking place on this one planet. So it was nice to be able to kind of go around. I spent about 3 hours playing around different areas of the planet, the city here, and seeing what kind of performance we're getting, both kind of in a few battles. Even though I'm very low level for this area, I started at level 6 with a recommended 35, and some driving around in the vehicle and stuff like that just to check out performance. And obviously you can see here on the screen with these settings and everything trying to run this. This is difficult to run. This new planet, this new city, the quest and stuff are actually quite difficult to run here on the Steam Deck. The only thing I have going is 4 gigs of VRAM and cryo utilities. And if we turn on frame gen, the base frame rate is so low, honestly, it's not that great here, and it can be pretty choppy, and I just don't feel like it really helps me out enough to be worth it when it comes to the gameplay. Even if we get into the manual GPU clock settings at anywhere from 1200 to 1600 megahertz, I don't know. You can mess with it if you want, but for me, I just felt like frame gen, especially when we get into some other low FPS areas, was pretty rough. Another thing I'd like to note here for those of you that may turn frame gen on and off just checking it out, it does kind of break the game, and you can see here performance doesn't quite go back to what it was and the GPU usage suffers. You have to restart the Steam Deck to fix that. Just keep that in mind if you're messing around with frame gen. Running around the open world and getting into some of the quest areas, you can see load-in areas drop into the teens, and the CPU's hit pretty hard and it can't keep feeding the GPU there, and it can get pretty rough. And I was pretty low level here again, but I had a couple weapons and I ran around, got into some combat scenarios just messing with it to see how it was. And of course it feels like combat would feel in the 20s, right? We're typically running in the 20s here. It's not great. I am able to play, but it's not performance that I would say go out and purchase the DLC and try to play it on the Steam Deck, because unless you're using some kind of mods, which I haven't done yet for this DLC, if you guys have, let me know if you're getting much better performance. But so far for me, everywhere I go, it's typically anywhere from like 18 to 28 FPS depending on what's going on, except for if you go out and roam around the planet away from the quest areas and more of the enemies. So yeah, you can pretty much see what we're getting for performance here. And if we go out in the rover and we roam around the planet, like you pick some random landing spots, performance is a little bit better. Frame times and FPS and everything is a little bit better. The CPU's not hit as hard, and I kind of expected that because we're not really near a bunch of enemies and buildings or NPCs or things like that. We certainly still do have some big dips and that kind of thing, so it's pretty rough, and there's pop-in and different things like that that'll happen. So it is pretty rough on the Steam Deck, but it is better when you're out on the rover typically compared to quest areas and the city. But unfortunately, questing and the city and the stories, we're going to be spending most of your time here on this planet through Shattered Space. So that's about really all I have to show. There's no need to go that much further or deeper into it with the Steam Deck. I will be testing the other devices and doing those as well, but I wanted to try this one first, and unfortunately for me here so far, it's not a very playable experience on the Steam Deck, and I wouldn't really recommend jumping into the DLC on the Steam Deck. However, it hasn't crashed on me. It is technically playable from 18 to 20 FPS, sometimes in the 30s, out away from things or indoors. Alright guys, anyway, I hope the video helped you out and showed you kind of how Shattered Space is running here on the Steam Deck. Thanks a lot, as always, for coming to check it out. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.